What's up YouTube, this is Mathis97 and welcome to my WWE 2K15 Universe Mode. This is episode number 12 and we are here with main event. So let's take a look at this week's match card. I've set up something a little bit interesting to kick off this week's show. I've decided to pair up one half of the Primetime Players and one half of the Wyatt family with a random partner heading into their tag team title matchup. That's coming up. So I figured, you know what, we'll try to do something a little bit different and we'll pair them up with a random partner and see who comes out the victor. We have Dolph Ziggler versus Curtis Axel, Jey Uso, one-on-one with Justin Gabriel. Match number 4, we have Jimmy Uso going one-on-one with the other half of that tag team, as it is Tyson Kidd. So we'll see how these two teams can fare. And then here is our main event. It is Big E taking on Alberto Del Rio, 2 of the 3 participants in the United States Championship Triple Threat matchup. And it looks like Titus O'Neil and Santino get the win over Luke Harper and The Miz. So I guess that's how that experiment played out. Justin Gabriel gets the victory over Jey Uso. Can Tyson Kidd pull off the sweep? Yes, he does. So the Usos get swept in singles competition by the team of Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel. Still looking for a name for that team. I know Brendan Plays, he calls them the International Airstrike, which is kind of a cool name. I'm not sure what I want to do with that team next. I don't really want to just copy that name, but I mean, you know, if enough people want it, I guess I'll use that name, but I don't know. I haven't really seen anything that's caught my eye yet. But at the same time, I also kind of want to come up with something unique, something different, because, you know, Brendan Plays has the International Airstrike tag team name. So I don't know, kind of thinking, try to go with something different, try to be original. But here we go. Our opening matchup here tonight, Curtis Axel versus Dolph Ziggler. And Curtis Axel, of course, he's one half of the tag team with Alberto Del Rio, which I found, which someone suggested to me the name Viva Perfecto. So that's what we're going with. I like that name. And also with the team of RVD and Cesaro, I decided to go with Swiss Thunder. That was suggested down in the comment section. So keep leaving suggestions for the a team name for Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel. But for now, we've got Viva Perfecto and Swiss Thunder. Those are our 2 new teams here in Universe Mode, kicking off the 2K15 season. And look at this. Curtis Axel, he's got Ziggler all caught up in the ropes here. Big time neck breaker there to kick this match off with a bang. But of course, Curtis Axel, he's in recent weeks been picking up some pretty key victories. We remember towards the end of WWE 2K14's season, Curtis Axel, of course, the client of Paul Heyman. Now, more recently, Curtis Axel's been striking out on his own, and not to say that, you know, Paul Heyman may not be giving him a little bit of an assist in terms of like a booking standpoint, but Curtis Axel, he's been a little more independent as of late, not really having Paul Heyman at ringside or having him like as a manager. He's more so just kind of an advisor, just kind of giving Curtis Axel some extra advice when needed. So Curtis Axel, I mean, so far he's been doing pretty well for himself. A couple of weeks ago, he defeated Jack Swagger, the United States champion in one-on-one competition here on main event. So that was a big victory for Axel. Potentially could line himself up for a future title match. Of course, his tag team partner, Alberto Del Rio, is going to be competing in the triple threat match for the U.S. title, so that could be interesting if Del Rio would win the title, if perhaps Axel and Del Rio could have maybe like a bit of battle to see who's the greater of the 2 tag team partners, bit of friendly competition potentially for a title match for that U.S. title. Potentially, of course, that's if Curtis Axel can keep up the momentum he's been gaining for himself. But what about Dolph Ziggler? Dolph Ziggler he's hit his stride really well at the same time here in Universe Mode. Of course, in the final episode of Monday Night Raw in 2K14, it was Ziggler getting the victory over The Undertaker in one-on-one competition. That was a big win for Ziggler. And ever since then, you know, he's kind of not really disappeared, but he hasn't quite came up big like he did that night against The Undertaker. Of course, he competed in the Fatal 4-Way on the opening episode of Monday Night Raw here in 2K15, where he competed in the Fatal 4-Way to determine the 3rd participant in the Triple Threat for the U.S. title. Of course, that match was won by Big E. But perhaps Ziggler not really setting his sights on the U.S. title. Maybe he's got bigger plans in mind. Maybe he's looking at a potential WWE Championship opportunity. As I think Ziggler, if he could just pick up some victories, he could be right up there. Or, you know, he could win the Royal Rumble. Easier said than done. He'd have to outlast 29 other superstars, but that could be a huge opportunity for Dolph Ziggler if he could win the Royal Rumble match and become #1 contender for either the WWE or World Heavyweight Championships. I mean, of course, if he wanted to, Ziggler could go over to SmackDown and challenge whoever the world champion at the time is going to be. For now, it looks like if Mark Henry can just retain the title for the next couple pay-per-views, he will be the world champion. So that would be a pretty tough task for Ziggler. But then again, John Cena is no easy superstar to overcome either. So it'll be interesting to see whoever wins the Royal Rumble, who they're going to choose to face. But look at Curtis Axel here, and a shin breaker right there, taking out the leg of Dolph Ziggler. And of course, Dolph Ziggler has got some explosive offense. Definitely can. I mean, he's not one to really go off the top rope, but if you take out Dolph Ziggler's legs, you're definitely going to take out some of his explosiveness. For example, the super kick. Of course, a move that directly relies on the leg to use it. But look at Ziggler. Nice suplex there. Really, just targeting the leg would limit Ziggler's offense greatly because he likes to, quickly run around that ring. And if you can lower his speed, then you're halfway to beating him, I would say, because then Ziggler would have to go. I mean, not to say Ziggler can't pull off a good technical wrestling game, as I'm saying this, he's got a single leg Boston Crab here on Curtis Axel. Ziggler, of course, a former amateur wrestler. He was pretty damn good. And really, it's just this transition into this world of professional wrestling here. Professional wrestling. This is not sports entertainment. This is professional wrestling here in Universe Mode. Axel and Ziggler going on right now. Look at this cover into the small package here. That's a 2 count, and kick out there from Ziggler, manages to stay alive. And now Curtis Axel picking up Del Rio. Nice drop kick. Why did I say Del Rio? That's Ziggler. Sorry, I'm just looking forward to our main event here tonight between Del Rio and Big E. Getting a little bit ahead of myself. Axel now, a nice snapmare takedown. And look at this. Look at this. Oh, a neck twist. Snap maneuver there. The back of Ziggler's head bouncing off the mat. Curtis Axel now that he's delivered some damage to Ziggler, taking a little bit of time to catch his breath. And of course, Curtis Axel maybe could potentially set him up for that picture-perfect DDT, the Hangman's Face Buster. Or he could maybe also go for that perfect plex, shades of his father, Mr. Perfect. But look at Ziggler here. Nice vertical suplex there, taking Curtis Axel down. And Ziggler now picking Axel up. What could he be looking to do here? Big-time DDT there from Dolph Ziggler. Planted Curtis Axel face first into the mat. Cover. No, not even a 1 count. Axel doesn't want to show any signs of weakness. Although I don't think that was the smartest decision. If he had waited out that 2 count, it could give him just a couple extra seconds to recover. That could be key in the later stages of this matchup. But of course, just kicking out right away, maybe showing a little bit of his stubbornness here in the ring. But look at Ziggler now, counters with a nice jawbreaker. And Ziggler out of nowhere hits the super kick. And just like that, Dolph Ziggler has taken the advantage, and he has picked up a major victory here tonight against Curtis Axel. Just like that, Dolph Ziggler out of nowhere with the super kick, and that just shows the explosiveness of Dolph Ziggler. That's what you got to watch out for. That's what 29 other competitors are going to have to look forward to. They're going to have to try to plan against Dolph Ziggler, because I would say Dolph Ziggler is potentially one of the dark horses of that Royal Rumble. I mean, Ziggler is always a threat. You got to watch out for, especially that super kick. With that super kick now in his arsenal, Dolph Ziggler, I mean, just devastating, sudden maneuvers. You just got to watch out for this man. Dolph Ziggler, big-time victory to help boost his momentum heading into the Royal Rumble match. So Dolph Ziggler, potentially one of the favorites heading into this matchup, whether you want to call him a dark horse. I mean, there's a lot of really strong-looking talent heading into that Royal Rumble, which is why I would peg Ziggler as more of a dark horse. But Anyways, enough about the Royal Rumble. We gotta focus on the here and now. And right now, coming down to the ring is Big E. And Big E, of course, one of 3 participants in the U.S. title match. The second, of course, his opponent tonight, Alberto Del Rio. And it goes without saying that the third participant will be the United States champion himself, Jack Swagger, who was defeated by Alberto Del Rio last night on Monday Night Raw. So, Del Rio, he's got the momentum heavily in his corner, but Big E, if he can get the victory, that'll just swing the momentum in his favor. But if Del Rio wins this matchup, I think it's safe to assume that if Del Rio can beat Swagger and Big E both in one-on-one competition, I think it's safe to say that Del Rio is the clear-cut favorite heading into the Royal Rumble. But then again, it is a triple threat matchup, so the stakes, the environment is that much different, because it's not just a one-on-one matchup. There's a third man in the equation that you gotta factor in. You gotta make sure you take care of both of your opponents before you can even hope of getting a victory. So Del Rio now getting set to go one-on-one with Big E, and this could be a very opportune time for these two opponents to scout each other out, see what they are going to bring to the table heading into the Royal Rumble match, or heading into the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, the United States Championship matchup, the match at the Royal Rumble. But of course, the United States Champion, whoever that may be, they're eligible to compete in the Royal Rumble match. Same goes for the Intercontinental Champion. Same goes for the Tag Team Champions, whoever they may be, whether it'll be the Primetime Players or the Wyatt family. Only the World Heavyweight Champion and WWE Champion are exempt from the Royal Rumble match. So, it's going to be interesting. I mean, that could be a huge night for one of these two superstars. They could not only win the United States Championship, but they could go on to win the Royal Rumble match and headline WrestleMania against one of the two major champions. That could be a huge breakout opportunity for either of these two superstars. So, not only do they have to kind of scout each other out for the U.S. title match that's going to kick off the pay-per-view, but they also have to scout each other out for the main event of the pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble. And of course, that's a completely different environment in of itself, because not only do you have to prepare for just 2 other opponents, you have to prepare for 29 other opponents. So, while these two are preparing for a triple threat matchup, they can kind of get themselves ready at the same time for that Royal Rumble environment. So here we go now. Big E, Del Rio going at it. Spinebuster there from Big E, planting Del Rio into the mat. And of course, Del Rio with those vicious kicks like that enziguri we saw right there. Definitely something Big E's going to have to watch out for. As we saw, Jack Swagger fell victim to that cross arm breaker, so Big E's going to want to protect his arms. He doesn't want to let Del Rio do any more damage to those arms than he has to, because too much and Del Rio's just going to lock in that cross arm breaker. Big E's going to have no choice but to tap out. But at the same time, if Big E does get locked in that cross arm breaker, he can't be too stubborn, because he's got to remember that there is a Royal Rumble United States Championship matchup in just a few days away now. Royal Rumble this Sunday. Big E, he'll have 5 days to prepare. So, I mean, if it comes down to it, if he gets put in that cross arm breaker, it may just be a safe bet just to tap out, save your strength for the Royal Rumble. And that could potentially be what Jack Swagger did on Monday Night Raw. Because, I mean, really, this matchup isn't for the title, so you don't want to go all out. So you don't want to, I mean, you want to preserve your strength. You want to save some for the Royal Rumble. Oh, look at that. Enziguri to the back of the head of Big E. And right away, right out of the starting gate, Del Rio has got the upper hand into the cover. 1, 2, and a kick out there from Big E at a count of 2. But of course, at the same time, this also goes for bragging rights. And if Del Rio can say that he beat both of his opponents heading into the match, that's, I mean, of course, momentum would be on his side, which would definitely favor Del Rio heading into the title match. But at the same time, are you willing to take the loss to save yourself to fight another day? Or are you going to get too hung up on this matchup and potentially burn yourself out heading into the Royal Rumble matchup for the U.S. title? Look at this! Look at that total Royal backbreaker there from Del Rio. And just continuing to do work on that arm. Del Rio now. Look at this. Oh, a kick to the back, and Del Rio maintaining firm control in the early goings of this one, as he's just, you know, with those big kicks and another enziguri to the back of the head. I mean, the work on the arm, the kicks. I mean, Del Rio is just slowly but surely wearing out Big E here. And of course, Big E, he's got a bit of redemption he's seeking here tonight against Del Rio, because if you take it back to Survivor Series, Big E and Del Rio were the final two men in that Survivor Series Battle Royal for the U.S. title. And of course, it was Big E who tapped out to the cross arm breaker. And that was how Del Rio captured the U.S. title in the first place. So Big E, he's got a bit of revenge on his mind here as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how much effort Big E does put into this matchup, knowing that he has a U.S. title triple threat against Del Rio and Swagger just 5 days away. But right now, Del Rio still has the upper hand in this one. Big E showing that he can take some punishment, staying alive in this matchup, as trying to get back to his feet. Del Rio trying to keep him down, just delivering a bunch of strikes, trying to keep Big E down on the mat, where Del Rio can definitely control him. But Big E now, nice counter. And that's what Del Rio needs to do. He needs to keep Big E down on the mat, where Big E can't use his strength, his power game. If you can keep him down on the ground, you're going to have a much better opportunity at beating Big E, and that's what Del Rio has realized here. So he took him down with a nice snap suplex, taking some time to recover, try to catch his breath here, as Big E makes it back to his feet. Look at Del Rio. Del Rio, he's going for the cross arm breaker, and he's got it locked in. Alberto Del Rio, he's got the cross arm breaker locked in on Big E, and Big E taps out. For the second night in a row, Alberto Del Rio has defeated somebody with a cross arm breaker. Del Rio has now beaten Jack Swagger and Big E back-to-back nights. This is huge momentum for Del Rio heading into the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, as not only has he just beaten his two opponents, but he has made them tap out. That is huge bragging rights for Del Rio heading into the Royal Rumble. And I think it's safe to say that Del Rio is the clear-cut favorite for that United States triple threat matchup. If I was a betting man, I would put my money on Alberto Del Rio, because as we've just seen here tonight, he has defeated Swagger and Big E. I mean, what more proof do you need that Del Rio has what it takes to defeat these two men in a triple threat match to become the U.S. champ? Man, I mean, shades of Survivor Series, Big E once again taps out to the cross arm breaker, and it is Del Rio who is victorious. And Del Rio, you know, as if he wasn't an arrogant dude already, Del Rio he's just loving it right now, just soaking in the celebration right now as he has defeated both of his opponents. Del Rio, I mean, he can't afford to get too overconfident, but I mean, he's gotta know that in the back of his mind, he has these two beat. Man, that is a huge victory for Del Rio. Definitely shaping up the landscape for that triple threat match at the Royal Rumble. But that's it for this episode of Universe Mode. I want to thank you all for watching, and make sure to stay tuned for the next one. And yeah, this is just taking a look at what went down. We got a couple upset victories, big time victories for some of these participants heading into the pay-per-view. But I want to thank you all for watching, and as always, keep on YouTubing.